the JAG Aviation, there is a OFLY initiative, and we are connecting with schools for past few months, and we have done few awareness sessions with the multiple schools within multiple cities. And during the sessions, we have a lot of question and answers from the kids, and they want to know that what the aviation industry is right now up to, and what are the coming time. They have a lot of questions about the pilot training and the things related to it. And this is an attempt to do that. And today we have Captain Shahinsha. He is more commonly known within the fraternity as Captain Shane. So welcome, Captain Shane.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Captain Shane belongs to Kerala from Trivandrum, and he has done his initial flying from Russia. And definitely it was a quite exhaustive program, what he always tell me. And definitely we do not find that kind of program in India, but that gives him a lot of knowledge, and he has actually experienced the flying outside India as well as in India. And he came back to India, and in 2006 or 7 he has started training the students here, and he has been as a chief flight of instructor of a school, just for the knowledge, years. So welcome, Captain Shane. And
thank you.
The students have asked me is that in coming 5 to 10 years, where do you see the civil aviation in India is heading? So will there be enough jobs?
Yeah, see, when aviation means it's not only airlines. You have general aviation companies, you have under which comes the private jets or the private planes, what the business people use it or the corporates use it for their travel. Plus you have the flying training also comes under general aviation. So your prospects is wide. Now generally the concept is like, say, a person who wants to become a commercial pilot, he is becoming a commercial pilot in order to get a job in the airline, and his ultimate idea is to be as an airline pilot, Now in the next coming, I would tell maybe around 5 to 7 years, the job market looks good because the data what we have from the government as well as from the other sources says that close to maybe around 500 to 600 planes are under order, which is to be delivered in the next 5 years time. Plus the requirement, that means the existing pilots who are working in the airlines, they tend to also move from one airline to another. So generally we have seen the trend that the most experienced pilots from India, they move to the Middle East, from Middle East they move to Southeast Asia, and they hang around. So what happens is the vacancies are created for that, plus the new aircraft which is incoming into India. So for every aircraft which comes in India, for a typical rotation of around 16 to 18 hours of flying by an airline, you might be needing somewhere around set of 5 to 7 set of crews, which is close to around 10 to 14 pilots. Depends on what kind of an operations you are doing. So if you look at the current market, it's maybe around 70% is the domestic flying and maybe 30% is of international flying, which is long haul flights. So generally the market is good for the next 7 years. People who want to take the best of it, I think they must start thinking to do their plan to do their training from now onwards, so that once they pass their 10+2 with maths and physics, they can enroll for a CPL program in any of the flight schools.
The kids who have an inclination towards flying, what do you think is the right age or the right class they should start thinking about that, okay, what I can do towards this field, right? 9th, 10th, 11th or 12th, I will take that in consideration.
I would tell, like, say, whoever is planning to choose this as a career, they should start the plans just right after 10th. Just after 10th, because till 10th they are concentrating on their generic subjects, etc. After that, they will be choosing where to go. So basically after 10th is when the student chooses what he or she needs to become. So I would tell, even if somebody is decided or somebody is planning for a pilot career, they should do it just after the 10th. So what happens is that the preparation goes, and they'll be, by the time they complete the 12th, they'll be almost 30% done with the planning, and they're prepared to get into the flying training. So I think right after 10th.
Parents have this question that, okay, we have the engineering stream, which is the most common stream you will see on the science side student, definitely apart from the medical. So they ask that what is the return of investment, because when you say that, okay, this is the training cost may go up to 70 lakhs or 1 crore based on the program you choose. So it looks really steep to them. So what is your input in terms of like what is the return of investment if someone is thinking from that perspective?
Yeah, first time I'm seeing this question, means first time I came across this question when I was in 10th. Basically, I was just enthusiastic about being a pilot, and I walked into one of the newly upcoming private flight school, and it was very clearly written. Even I think I have it. This happened exactly maybe around 30 years back. 30 close to 30 years. So they were giving a idea like, say, how much you need to spend for a doctor, how much you need to spend for an engineer, and what is the salary. So I vaguely remember that time. I think you need to spend maybe around under 10 lakhs, 7.5 to 10 lakhs for a pilot, and you start getting a salary starting from around 25,000 or something. This was in 1991 or 2, something like that, I believe, 92, in the 90s, beginning 90s, Now, the situation has not much changed, but due to inflation, the numbers have changed, So now, if you look at as a return of investment, yes, I think this career program or this pathway to become a pilot is much lucrative and attractive for the kids as well as for the pilots, for the parents. Say, if you are investing somewhere on, generally, like, say, for a person to become a pilot and to reach the airline, the final destination or the final organization where he or she is going to work, it will take somewhere between 30 to, ab initio will take somewhere around 30 to 40 lakhs plus another type training maybe up to around 15 to 20 lakhs. So you keep it around maybe 60 to 70 lakhs overall costing on a traditional pathway, which is not the cadet pilot program. So with a 60 lakh spending and over a 2 years time, maximum 2 years, 1.5 to 2 years time, you can secure a job which can give you a salary somewhere starting from 1.5 to 2 lakhs at this moment. It also depends on the airline, which airline you are choosing, which aircraft that airline is flying, etc. So definitely, say, if you are spending 60 lakhs and maybe 2 lakhs per month, if you are able to earn it from that airline, means as a salary, maybe like, say, within 4 years or 5 years, you actually start making your profits, or you start getting a return of investment back. Now, if you compare to engineering or if you compare to MBBS, maybe in this time you will not be able to do that. Maybe it might be, I would tell, maybe 10 years plus to reach that kind of a salary levels. Today's salaries for an engineer, I'm not sure. It all depends on which college you are passing out and which company. So definitely, but at the age of 21, you will not be able to get this kind of salaries for sure for any engineering graduate. Leaving apart the premium engineering schools, So I think this is a good option for the people. And the next 7 years, there is as the data says, that there is a high requirement for pilots. And more airports are being opened by the government, looking at connecting tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
What do you think that the cadet pilot program, definitely it's on the higher side? Does it really it is it is better to go for a cadet pilot program, or one can choose to do it individually? So
I would tell, see, cadet pilot program is it gives you an impression that you have surety for the job. In 80% of the times it is like that, but you always have the 20% where you need to be successful in that also. So 80% of the people are successful in the cadet pilot program when it comes to in the sense that when it comes to the way how the program is structured. I've also seen people that they fail the program miserably. They fail it even after spending the entire money of maybe 1 crore plus, they fail the program. So I would tell, it all depends on the choice what you make. In the sense, if you are able to afford a cadet pilot program with an ease of doing the program, then you can go for it. But to be successful is a very important thing. Whether you do it in a traditional manner, like doing the ab initio training plus the type training or whether the cadet pilot program, actually the effort what you need to put is same.
Right.
So why you need to spend money, that extra 50% or more than 50% you need to spend for that cadet pilot program. I would prefer, if somebody asked me, I would tell that you choose a traditional program, ab initio training, you do it with a flight school followed by a type rating training, then you will be able to, you are eligible to apply for jobs with the airlines, you know. Yeah, see, in India, only one airline is successfully doing the program. The other airlines tried to do the program, but they were never successful. Even from the Kingfisher times, I remember from 2008 onward, this cadet pilot program is another vertical by the airline for creating their resources in the way they wanted. But I have not seen anybody successfully joining that from that time. Only one airline is doing it right now, that too at a very high cost, and the vendors are outside the country, so the cost will increase more, you know. And in spite of all these things, there are people like, say, more than 60% of the people recruited are through traditional programs. Only 40% or less than 40% is through the cadet pilot program. So why you need to spend more money if you do not have it? Why you need to squeeze yourself, or why you need to take that path when it's not affordable to you? So we have seen some other airlines started this program, then they were itself shaking in their operations, you know. So people, they don't understand, they don't read about this. They just look at the big brands which comes with the cadet pilot program, thinking that once I spend this much money that I'll be securing a job. That's not the case all the time, you know.
Flying is something which is quite glamorous, and there are a lot of kids, even the adults, who have inclination towards learn to fly. But when you talk about the airport services like the air traffic controller or the other jobs related to the airport, people are usually coming into those professions either by chance, or do you feel the other profiles related to the airport like the air traffic control or the other departments in the airport operations, how respectable these jobs are, and what do you see that it is advisable to target towards those professions or not?
Yeah, see, as we say, almost all the jobs, aviation related jobs, are kind of the standards are same whether you do that job in India or abroad, because ultimately the airport's functioning is same, more or less same all over the world, you know. Now ATC job, air traffic controller's job, is also a very good job. You don't need to spend that much money what you need to spend for a pilot, but comparatively it is also a high paid job when you look at the peers of the same education level, you know. So other than your graduation, you might need to enroll for a ATC course with some of the institutes in India. Like only Airport Authority of India is doing that, but sooner or later I think private training schools also will come for the ATCs, because the government is already looking at that option to do it, as well as more aerodromes are coming, so more manpower is required, and they also work in shifts. So same like, say, if there is a 24-hour watcher, if there is a 24-hour operations in an airport, then at least you need 3 set of people, you know, and the requirement to handle the increasing traffic is also increasing day by day, you know. The movements in every aerodrome is increasing, so that is also a good option for people who want to be, or who want to become an air traffic controller. Other than that, the airport related jobs on the ground, be it in the commercial, be it in the safety, or be it in the terminal operations, be it in the air side, or be it part of looking after the regulatory aspects of the aerodrome. No, there are a lot of departments in aerodrome, because it's whole lot of a system which is working, you know. So you have a good number of jobs. That means if one plane is inducted into the system, as I told, maybe around 10 to 14 pilots are required. Same time, some fixed number of aircraft maintenance engineers are required, some fixed number of management people are required, some fixed number of ATC guys are required. So if we turn it out like, say, one plane coming into country will generate multiple jobs, generate quite good number of jobs. And looking at another 500-600 planes which is going to come up, as we see right now, I think there'll be enough and more jobs. And the flexibility in moving from location wise also is good. Like, say, you are working in some of the Indian airports and you get experience, and you always have an option to move out. to the country, different countries, because more or less the airport operations are same. And so the other professions related to aviation is also, it's also picking up. It's not that only pilot, to become a pilot is only picking up. No, other areas also equally coming up.
How they should choose a ground school, or what significance a ground school has in terms of the
ground school. Basically, when you talk about it, basically it's a theoretical training. It is a classroom training. Say for example, if you look at commercial pilot training or pilot training for that matter, you have some sessions in the classrooms, you have some sessions in the simulator, and you have majority of your training happens in an aircraft actually, So theoretical training or the ground school, which is normally known in India, is a certain number of syllabus or certain number of hours need to be completed for each subject. So basically in India you have all the subjects have been confined to total 5 subjects, and you will be roughly, as per the regulations, you will be roughly undergoing somewhere around 350 hours of these lectures, ground lectures basically. So these 350 hours of ground lectures basically it is done in around a 3 months time. Now every flight school has got the provision of doing the ground school. But what happens is, because they are a flight school as well as they can deliver the theoretical training, the emphasis or they give more importance to flying training. So beyond a certain number of hours, which is up to a student pilot's level, they might not be concentrating. It's not the case with all the schools. Some schools, they have some structured syllabus where they complete the ground school for the SPL, PPL and CPL, and then they start the flying, etc. But majority of the cases, it is not the same. It is not like that, And these days you have a lot of ground schools which is providing theoretical training, which is not regulated, or it need not to be regulated, or it is not need not to be approved by the DGCA, because even you can do a self-study for a PPL or for a CPL and go for the exams. So, but theoretical training is very important as far as your knowledge is concerned, as far as your exam passing is concerned, Now, we know that of late there is a saying that, okay, it's pass the exams and then you complete your 200 hours of flying, then you get your commercial pilot license. But this is not a appreciated way of doing things. I would tell that there should be a structured ground school, whether be it in a flight school or in a ground school which is dedicated, and it should have all the infrastructure with respect to having classes online or offline, or computer based training sessions, or you have terminals to do that one, or you have various question banks so that people can practice the questions after each topic. So if you look at even your school or your basic school education, you finished a topic. Say for example, in geography you finished one topic, then you have some questions on the back of the topic. So you complete that question, then only you go to the next one. So now what happens is, here the trend is that you learn the questions first. You're actually reading the questions first, then you are going back to the chapter and you are underlining the answer, telling that, okay, this is a question, this is the answer. So nobody is learning the chapter basically, but actually it should be done like this. Now even if you look at in some of the schools, they do this one. So it is basically you are preparing a student to pass the exam so that you get that passing certificates, but actually he will not have the knowledge. You ask some question from the same chapter, if you ask, he will not know until unless you ask that same question to him. So that need to be changed. So that can be changed only by DGCA putting some structured way of doing things. Attendance is important. The presence of that student in a lecture room is important, and who is going to deliver lecture is important. And one more thing is that, I have seen the regulation says that every subject need to be delivered by a pilot. Necessary need not to be. An engineering graduate can deliver some of the subjects, so relevant areas can be done. So if you tell that only pilots can deliver it, will they go and fly for the airline, or will they keep teaching the student? For keeping the student, because you have been regulated, that there are regulations that the pilot need to teach the student, you need to pay high salaries for the pilots because they need to leave their airline job and come. So regulations also need to change. The same time, the theoretical training is also very important, that you take it from the right place, so that your knowledge sets in, so that it is been synchronized along with your flying. So all these things are there. Along with that, simulator sessions are important. So the structured way of training is very, very important, and in that, theoretical training is the first step. So your foundation, or your foundation should be strong enough actually. So if you ask me, I would tell yes, a good theoretical knowledge training will take you far.
It's asked me is that what are the qualities to become a pilot? Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So just want to hear that as per you, what should be the qualities?
Yeah. See, there was a concept those days that you should have maybe you should be strong enough, you should be you should have this much minimum height, you should be able to understand things better, in the sense you should be studious, and you should be a lot of qualities you can tell. But I would tell that to become a commercial pilot, one is you should have an open arm approach to study continuously, study and upgrade your knowledge all the
You're
time.
talking about continuous learning, right?
Continuous learning is there, Now, that is one thing, continuous learning, and you should be open towards it. The moment you stop that learning thing, and your career also is going to stop there. If you need to keep doing that one, because the industry is changing on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis. Things are changing. One technology is going, another is coming. So you need to be abreast with those things. That is one. The second thing is that obviously you should be punctual. You're carrying yourself should be good. It's not that
You're talking about
well disciplined. Yeah. So these are some of the things actually which will take you to a better position, a good job with a good airline.
Right.
So see, today you can't. Means, yeah, you can list out all the qualities of a thing, but you might not find it in every person. It doesn't mean that only those guys can become pilot. No, it is not that. Say, for example, now the recent concept of MPL, which is multi-crew pilot license, it's a classroom oriented, or it's more of its majority of the training is done in simulators, and it is being prepared for a particular airline by that airline with their training standards, policies, etc. But the cost of doing an MPL is too high. It is around maybe 1.2 crore plus, or close to 1.5 crores. It's a good investment these days when it comes to some of the airlines which are successful on it. But most of them are not successful. Now, with that MPL, what happens is 1.5 crores means only the rich can afford to do that. So in the rich who can afford to do that, you might not find all the qualities. Maybe you find all the qualities. So it is a vice versa thing. You might find all these qualities in a guy who is he can't afford even a basic training. So these days it is very difficult. That means anybody who walks in, actually you can make him a pilot. Make him a pilot.
Right. To help the students in terms of that, while choosing a flight school, what they should be looking for, because for an outsider they cannot understand any kind of the marketing numbers or something like telling that we have this many airplanes, irrespective of they are flying or not, on what condition they are, can actually attract the kids or their parents.
See, basically, no agency, neither DGCA or the Ministry of Civil Aviation, they do not have any system of grading these schools in terms of be it location, be it number of aircraft, or be it number of hours produced in a calendar year. You don't have such gradings basically. Now, on the other hand, they should, somebody, either DGCA or maybe anybody related to that, or maybe any department related to that, actually they should grade it and they should rate it, and they should put this information in the public website so that people can go through it. Maybe you can also tell the parameters on which it is being graded. So the parameters, the prime parameter, I would tell that the number of incidents in that particular school is the prime thing that you can tell in the last 5 years, how many incidents happened in that school, or nil accident incident, etc. Now, the second thing is that the number of aircrafts, and the third thing is that the number of instructors, fourth thing, the location. So, these are few of the parameters which you need to look at. Now, before choosing a flight school, you need to get, say for example, if you have studied regarding a flight school and you have sized down some of the flight schools, you try and get information from the people who are from the industry, not the airline pilots. See, airline pilots, they might not be knowing, because once they have done the training, they are already into a different cockpit altogether, and they are busy on their work schedule, etc. They might not be knowing what's happening in a flight school. They might be having some hearsay, and they might not be the correct people to guide you where they should join. On the other hand, you should be talking to some flight instructors, or you should be talking to somebody who is related to the training. Then they'll be able to tell what's happening at this moment. It's very important. Today, one flight school can shine, and maybe in a month, 2 months, it can go down also. It all depends on who is driving it, how it is being structured, how the flight school is run. So I would tell, before you decide a flight school, you need to talk to people who are into the training. Take their best opinion, then finalize it. So basically, see, you need to look at a lot of parameters. Basically, you need to, the best way is to talk to the experts in the flight training and get an opinion out of it. As I told, a lot of people, they are, sometimes they approach me and they tell that so and so airline pilot has recommended so and so flight school. It might not be the case, because that airline pilot must have heard from somebody that, okay, I've gone for some small training and I got it done in 2 weeks time. It doesn't mean that you also get that chance to complete your course in certain period what they promise. So it's always better to get the opinion of the experts, basically.
Right. How safe these small aircraft are. Definitely for their parents, this is one of the very major concerns, right? So based on your experience and the machines we have, so what do you say, that what is the safety that when it comes to these small aircrafts?
It exactly, and it is completely depending on that particular operator or a flight school, how they want to maintain that aircraft. If you want to maintain it good, you can maintain it. Now it's the same as, like, say you're buying a car, and that car can be maintained in a workshop outside an authorized workshop, or you can give it to an authorized workshop. So if you're maintaining the car in an authorized workshop, see what happens, authorized parts have been put, approved parts have been put. So what happens is, you're always adhering to the manufacturer's recommendation, and your car or its life is going to be good, and it is safer, and it will not give you any problems. So same like that, if you're going to adhere to the maintenance exactly what the manufacturers tells, which is completely the call of the school, how they want to do it. There are even schools who are maintaining older aircraft really good. It's not only in India. If you go any part of the world, sometimes 20-30-year-old aircrafts have been maintained very well. How come the vintage aircrafts have been maintained very well? It's absolutely depends on that flight school.
I think that's just pretty much for this session. So thank you, Captain Shahinsha, for your valuable time.
So a couple of things I would just like to put it off this thing. The selection of flight school, as we have discussed, few of that need to be judiciously done, also with respect to the age of the aircraft, also with respect to the number of instructors, etc. And location also is very important. And the location is very important in the sense it gives you a clear idea that will you be finishing your flying in that promised time of 1.5 years or etc. like that, or will it be taking more time. Second thing is that see, if you look at cheaper options, because we ourselves are a price conscious, price sensitive country, we always tend, that is the case in everywhere, but we always tend to look at the cheaper options. See, the cheaper options are not always the best. You need to understand.
Yeah, the idea of value add is something which is actually
if some organization is giving priority to safety, giving priority to other factors and values and principles, definitely the pricing is going to be higher, and if you think that no, the pricing is higher, on the other hand I'll go with a cheaper option, you might end up in spending more money in terms of time. Instead of spending X money for 15 or 18 months, you might be thinking, no, here it is only X by 2, only half the price. But you might be spending 4 years and you might be losing on the opportunities. You might be losing on other things. See, by the time you start knowing about the school, halfway your training would have commenced, Now, jumping from one school to another school is also an issue. Now, these days we do not have such questions asked by the airline that how many attempts have you taken for clearing the exam, or how many schools you have got trained with. Why are you not able to stick on to one school? So these are some of the important things which a student or a parent should check before going ahead with this training program.
No, I understand. When you say that, actually, I remember that there are a lot of companies which used to come for the engineering placement. They have this criteria that no paper needs to be stopped anytime. You have to clear it. You have cleared all your papers in first attempt. Right?
Correct.
So there is just a qualifying criteria to sit in the
the
eligibility exam, the exam. So, right, then definitely that is not there in India as of now. So yeah. So anything else, if you
nothing. No, such kind of sessions actually will be helpful. Will be very helpful for the students, because they might not be able to listen these things from, even if they approach the school, they will not be able to ask these questions because they don't know what to ask.
Definitely. And see, when they approach a flight school, some marketing guy or someone will talk to them. So they do not have an access to talk to the real people who have the real information. To be very honest, when I joined, that time also it took me some time to reach out to the real layer of people actually, to whom actually I get the authentic information.
Yeah, and one more thing I'll tell you, that there are sometimes as a CFI, all the queries doesn't come to me, because if I start handling all the queries, then I don't have any other time, because that's not my job, and I need to keep repeating the things. Sometimes some students and parents, they tell that yes, we understood everything, but we want to talk to the flight instructor, we want to talk to the CFI, because they might have got some input from the experts telling that okay, whichever school you're going, that's fine, but after getting that relevant information from an admission counselor, you make it a point at least to talk to one of the flight instructor to understand how things are really functioning or not. So that is also an important thing, that don't just blindly believe on somebody who is from the aviation field, but you talk to the flight instructors, you talk to the trainers who are training you, so that they can give you a proper guidance.
Absolutely. Just not only the front office. You have to understand that what is the functioning behind. If you can have one who can talk to you from the functioning side. Right?
That is true.
Yeah. So that's it from our side for today. So
thank you very much, Anuj.
Thanks a lot, sir.